Hello, everyone. I'm Dora. I'm a holistic stress and resilience coach from Dora Chan Yoga, and I am passionate about educating and empowering women and mothers to remove the veils of fear, insecurity, and limiting beliefs so that they can uncover and reconnect with the beautiful and authentic, powerful goddesses that they truly are. So, welcome to my Tuesday Weekly Connect, where we talk about various topics on how to achieve whole person wellness in body, mind, and soul. So, for those of you who are tuning in, I'm on live on Instagram and on Facebook right now. So, I have two cameras set up. So, hope it's not too distracting that I might be looking up and down throughout. Um, so today I want to talk um, about how we eat, because I think that there's a lot of emphasis on the types of food that we should eat or we shouldn't eat. And this is great because I think it is really important to understand where our food is coming from, and how it's impacting our body. And obviously, the different types of food that we eat will affect us differently. But today, I want to talk a little bit more about something that perhaps is not that we're not aware of, that we don't talk enough about, and this is how we eat. Because while it is important, like I said, that the type of food that we eat is important in supplying the amazing nutrients that we need for maintenance, for repair, for growth of our body and well-being in body and mind. But we're not actually able to unlock the nutrients from the food that we eat if we cannot digest them properly. And so obviously, with all the packages of goodness that we eat or that we ingest from our food, it's not very helpful if we cannot actually receive the nutrients from the food. So what we eat is important, but whether or not we can digest the food so that we can extract the nutrients is even more important. So I want to talk a little bit about digestion, just I guess a quick outline of digestion, and hopefully once you have a better understanding how digestion works, you'll have also more of an appreciation why problems associated with digestion can impact our health. So, when we think about the digestive system, a lot of the times we think of, food that's digesting in our gut. But what actually happens is that digestion actually begins before food even enters into your body. Digestion begins in the mind, and we call this the cephalic phase. And this is important because the body is already getting signals prior to food entering your body. For instance, smelling the smell of certain foods, or the sound that certain foods make as you're preparing it or harvesting it, the touch of the food, the sight, right? Just looking at the food, the colors, and all of that. All of these senses are already saying that, or that our bodies are already receiving signals through these senses, and it's telling the body that, hey, food's about to come, let's start getting ready. And so the body starts to prepare the digestive juices that are necessary to digest the food. And so you're already kickstarting digestion just by thinking, smelling, perceiving, anticipating the food. And then once food enters, of course, through the mouth, digestion continues. So there's mechanical breakdown of the food with the chewing, right? And then there are enzymes in the saliva that starts to break down sugars, starches, carbohydrates. And then the food travels down into the stomach, and there's, the hydrochloric acid, the stomach acid, that starts to break down protein. There are also enzymes in the stomach that breaks down protein. And the acidity in the stomach also destroys a lot of pathogens. So, as you can imagine, when we're ingesting food, we're also eating a lot of other microbes that are present on the food. And so, this is a way of defense in our system to kill off potential pathogens that we might ingest in our food. And then, of course, other things also happen. B12 needs, which is an essential vitamin in our body. We extract B12 um, by having this high acidity in the stomach, because B12 needs to actually be cleaved from the protein of the food in order for us to absorb it. Now, the digestive acid also signals downstream of the digestive tract to say, hey, food's coming, get ready. And so, each step of the way, it's almost like, there's communication, right? So it's telling the body what's happening, what needs to happen, and the rest of the body starts to prepare. And so, downstream of the stomach, you have the intestinal tract, uh, which we continue with digestion. So as we follow, say, the food down, when it enters into the small intestine, first the food is neutralized because the stomach lining, or sorry, the intestinal lining cannot withstand the acidity that was in the stomach. So bicarbonate is secreted by the pancreas and it neutralizes the food, which is called chyme now, that's coming through. And then there are other digestive enzymes that are secreted. And then there's bile that's released as well. All of these things help to break down the food into smaller components because we cannot actually extract the nutrients from the foods until they're broken down into their smallest units. And so this is why digestion is so important. It's not just a matter of breaking them into smaller pieces. You really need to break them down to their simplest forms in order for us to receive them, in order for the body to receive these nutrients. Now, most of the nutrient absorption takes place in the small intestines. And the small intestine is really important because, one, we're getting a lot of nutrients from our food in that area, but also the intestines also help to um, prevent things that shouldn't get inside our bodies from crossing over, right? And so if you think of it, the lumen or the space within the intestines, you can still consider that as the outside of your body. So if you can think of like a straw, when the straw is hollow on the inside, right? And so you can imagine that the plastic part of the straw as your body. So as you say, drink liquid or pour liquid through the straw, it's still considered as the outside of the straw. Like it doesn't get inside into the plastic bit of the straw. So if you can sort of, maybe that's not the best analogy, but if you can think of it this way, that our intestines are sort of like that. Whatever we ingest is not actually um, part of the body, because whatever we don't need will stay in the gut and it's eventually get passed down and we excrete it, right? And so the body only wants to take in things that are helpful, and then we want to keep, other things like microbes or toxins or other things that the body doesn't need. We want to keep them in the lumen of the intestine so eventually they can get eliminated. Now, in the large intestines, we have a lot of water and electrolyte absorption. There's also a lot of gut microbes in that area. And it's great because if we have a balanced ecology of microorganisms, then they are actually very helpful for us. They help to digest our food, they help to ferment our foods, and they even produce certain vitamins that we cannot produce. So, when everything is working well, digestion works well, and we're able to get what we need from the food, and we're also able to get rid of things that we don't need. And in addition, we have a healthy microbiome or a healthy gut ecology so that the microorganisms in our gut can further provide things or provide us with nutrients and also help to protect us from pathogens and so on. So that is sort of a quick overview of how we digest our food. Now, there are some problems that we can encounter, right, when it comes to digestion. And so, for instance, this is very common, is when we're buying fast foods, when we're eating on the run, when we don't have time to actually anticipate that we're about to eat, where we don't have time to anticipate food and we're mindlessly eating, we're eating on the run, then the cephalic phase of digestion doesn't actually happen well, if you think about it, right? So it's like it's all of a sudden from not eating to boom, you're eating. The body doesn't really have a lot of time or cues or signals for it to prepare itself. So already you're starting with a body that is not optimized for digestion, right? As you're eating the food. And low stomach acid could hinder digestion. Also, as we talked about in the stomach, there's a lot of protein digestion that happens in the stomach. And if the acidity is not high enough, then the stomach is not able to properly digest proteins, and we're not able to extract what we need from or the proteins or peptides, or if we break it down into the smallest components, the amino acids that we actually need for our health, for repair, for everything. Proteins are needed in all biological reactions in our body. So we really need to have a good source of protein. Now, I mean, there's a lot we can get into here, but of course, low stomach acid could also introduce more microbes into our bodies that we're not efficiently killing off, and they can enter into our intestines and cause disruption in the ecology, and this is called dysbiosis. And all sorts of problems can happen when we have dysbiosis because the gut microbiome, there's been so much research that's coming out now that there probably isn't a biological system that isn't affected by your gut microbiome. So having a balanced and healthy gut is so important for health. And so anything that can disrupt that balance or the harmonious ecology in your gut is going to affect you in some way. And the symptoms may not show up as digestive issues. They can show up as a headache. They can show up as things that you don't normally recognize. Emotional mood issues. All of these things do have a connection with gut, with digestion, with the microbiome. So these things which you don't normally associate with being a digestive issue, perhaps you're not going to go there and think, oh, I wonder if it's the food that I'm eating, right? And then problems with digestion can be many, and I'm trying to condense my training into 15 minutes for you, so I won't have time to go through all of the steps. But I do want to leave you. Okay, I'm just going over my notes. See what else I want to talk about before we end. Okay, so there are issues with digestions that we could experience. So what causes these problems, right? Now, there are, of course, many factors that are involved, but one issue that I think I can safely say that all of us experience is stress. And stress can affect, well, actually, stress directly affects digestion. And, when you are stressed, very simply put, your digestion is not priority, right? It's not the most important thing that your body needs to attend to. If the body's getting signals that you are in a life or death situation and you need to prepare yourself for fight or flight, And in that moment, your body is more concerned about how to get you, mobilizing such that you can get yourself out of danger. And then you can go back to digesting your food. So this worked for us really well for, millions of years for our survival as a human species. But now our form of stress is not about running away from a predator, right? We have a lot of psychological and mental stresses that stay with us day in and day out that we cannot get away from. And so now your body's under constant stress. It's reacting as though you're in a life or death situation, even if you're not physically in a life or death situation. But what happens is then your digestion is chronically under functioning, underperforming, is not being nourished, and that system starts to weaken, right? And you're not able to effectively absorb the nutrients from your food because you're not able to break them down efficiently. And so this can cause all sorts of symptoms, and it can exacerbate certain health conditions. Mental or psychological health is affected also by how well you're able to digest your food. So we don't have time to go into, you know, everything here because I can talk about this, for days. But understanding that a lot of us experience chronic stress, meaning that we're stressed out, or we're worried, or there's some level of stress that we experience every single day that is hard for us to get away from. That understanding that could be affecting our digestion. And so for the tip for today on how to enhance or improve your digestion is, for one, if we can start to slow down a little bit when it comes to eat, when it comes time for us to eat, right? Whenever you can, have that time to anticipate your food. So this is why cooking is so wonderful, because you're touching the food, you're seeing it, you're smelling it, you're anticipating it, and you're gearing up the body, preparing the body to get things running and functioning, and before you even put the food in your mouth. But if you don't have time to eat, at least try not to rush, just to rush in and rush out. Can you take a moment? You don't have to spend forever, but if you can spend a good 20 minutes where you can just slow down and focus on your food, look at it before you dig in, look at it, admire it, appreciate it, and then, eat your food. Take your time to chew. Don't just, wolf everything down. Chewing is important because that is part of digestion. You're already breaking the food down into smaller pieces mechanically, but also the saliva starts to break down carbohydrates. So the more time you can spend chewing, the less work the rest of the body has to do. And so each step of the way, if each part of the digestive process is occurring optimally, then the workload is sort of spread out evenly and most effectively for effective digestion. So, if there's only one thing you're going to take away today from this mini training, is to slow down and enjoy your food. And that alone can enhance digestion. And so in saying that, if you are stressed, if you're upset, if you're angry or frustrated when you're about to eat, maybe that's not the best time for you to eat. If you're able to wait, then at least, go outside, take a walk, take a break, take a few deep breaths, do a mini meditation, whatever it is. Get your body back into a more calm and relaxed state, and you're going to be able to receive the food much differently. You're going to be able to digest it, and you're going to be able to take advantage of the beautiful food that you have that can nourish your body and mind. So then, if you're interested in learning more about this topic, if there's anything else you want me to go to talk a little bit more about, whether it be food, digestion, whatever it is, don't hesitate to comment below or reach out to me. I'm always interested to, know about what you're interested in so that I can bring content that's relevant to you. And also, you can reach out to me. I'm happy to jump on a call with you if you have any questions. I can point you in the right direction and get you started on your health journey. If you enjoyed this training today, make sure that you follow me at Dora Chen Yoga on Instagram. I also have a private Facebook group called DCY Community, supporting strong women healed from stress holistically, where I stream these live trainings, but also share many resources, tips, and tools, and special offers in the group. So I'll drop the link in the comments below if you wanted to join. Let me know what your biggest takeaway is. Drop your comments below. I look forward to seeing you all again next Tuesday. Have a wonderful week.